This has massive implications for the Rams. Not only are we hearing from Sean McVay and what he had to say about the injury report coming out of the Chicago win, but we're also talking about a huge key piece of the Seattle Seahawks, the Rams' next opponent, having an injury. We're talking about that and much more, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and before we get into today's video, I want to hear a quick word from our sponsor. Before we get into all the news today, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. When you download Kalshi with the link down below, you can use code DIGESTNFL. Again, that's Digest NFL, so you get $20 when you trade your first 100. Kalshi, for those who don't know, is the largest prediction market in the entire United States. On their platform, you can trade yes or no on real-life events, sports, elections, news, and pretty much anything and everything that you can think of. And whether you're in California, Texas, or anywhere else across the country, Kalshi is live in all 50 states. For us sports fans, you could trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or playoff performances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. I mean, take a look at what I cashed out on actually early last week. I actually was able to cash out on the MVP winner. Yeah, sure, small trade for sure, but I traded my $10, got $15 back. I was able to trade before Matthew Stafford even won MVP. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't win MVP. Maybe they say, you know what, we're going to give it to Drake May. Well, guess what? I cashed out early, more than doubled my investment. Also, you can take a look at what they have going on right now in terms of the NFC Championship winner. Is it going to be the Rams? Is it going to be the Seahawks? Right now, the Seahawks are favored 59%. If you trade on Kalshi right now, you'd have a 42% chance. You're the one that's actually getting the more of the benefit, the more of the quote-unquote risk there. But we're Rams fans. We know the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. Trade on Kalshi now so you don't miss out on this opportunity. Again, Kalshi, it's genuinely a smarter way for you to use your sports or news knowledge, and you can close positions whenever you want. Download Kalshi with the link in the description. Don't forget to use Digest NFL. Again, that's code Digest NFL, so you get $20 when you trade your first 100. Again, thank you to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. All right, let's get straight into the news. And when we're talking about this whole injury situation with Seattle, I know we're looking a little bit further ahead. We haven't talked about Chicago yet, but I did want to acknowledge this was announced today. Adam Schefter tweeted, Seahawks running back Zach Charbonnet suffered a season-ending knee injury that will require surgery, Seahawks head coach Mike Macdonald said on Seattle Sports. McDonald called it a significant knee injury. Unfortunately, breaks your heart. He's going to need surgery, so he's going to be he's got a good long road to come back. And so, very unfortunate for sure. I'm sure if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, you're of course disappointed to hear this news that the knee injury to Zach Charbonnet is going to have him out the remainder of the season, even leaking into next season, right? But when we're talking about it from a Rams perspective and Rams side of things as well, there's a couple sides I kind of want to look at this. One side being, of course, you know, the Seahawks are dealing with an injury. You don't celebrate injuries ever, and that's not what we're doing here. But you're acknowledging that, hey, a piece of the Seattle Seahawks offense now has changed. A big piece of this offense has changed, and it definitely affects the way the Rams are going to play and how we see the Seahawks as an offense, right? So Zach Charbonnet, in his entire career, 49 career games, by the way, 1,761 rushing yards. And if you look at his 2025 season, 730 of those yards came in 2025 alone. Now look at, that's about maybe a little under 50% of his yards came in 2025 in his entire career, 49 games, pretty decent career, couple of seasons in, right? And then you're looking at the touchdowns, 21 career touchdowns. He had 12 of those in this year alone. So obviously Zach Charbonnet having fairly a career season, if you will, and he's having a really good year for the Seahawks. They had almost a 50-50 split, it seemed like, in Seattle in terms of those running backs. And so for him being out, that touchdown threat, big body running back, a 4 yards per carry, not a speed burner necessarily, but a big body running back to eat up those red zone touches, is now going to be off of the field. That's a big change in what the Rams can expect in terms of what the Seattle Seahawks offense will look like. This tandem of Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet have worked hand in hand for the last couple of seasons now, and this year it seems to be more 50-50 split than others. And so that is obviously hurtful for Seattle, and definitely, I guess you can say, a positive. You don't celebrate injuries, but a positive in terms of the Rams, kind of, right? I want to look at it from the other perspective too. We're not really prepared to see what a solo Kenneth Walker by himself backfield will look like. And by the way, he's been having a 50-50 split all season long, and I'm sure many Rams fans know this. Kenneth Walker's a pretty good running back, and some fantasy football owners would say he's even better than Zach Charbonnet, and if he has the football in his hands more often than not, he's going to make those plays because he has the speed, he has the quickness, he can catch the football in the backfield, and I think those are things that could affect this Rams team negatively as well. You're not prepared to see him on the field as much as he's going to be in the field. In the red zone, the touches may look different, the passing threat may look different in the red zone, and I think that's a key piece here to look at from the Rams perspective as well. Zach Charbonnet won't be there, Kenneth Walker will be there a lot, and I think it changes the way that Seattle Seahawks will look offensively, especially in that red zone. So the Rams got to prepare. Look back at some old footage, right? We've seen Kenneth Walker without Zach Charbonnet, or at least a little more involved in the red zone before Zach Charbonnet. Go back to that footage, see what the Seahawks were kind of running, because the Rams got to prepare for Kenneth Walker. He's a really good running back. I want to definitely stress that. And he's kind of rested, right? 50-50 split all season long. He's not as worn down as most years, and so definitely a key to look out for this Seattle Seahawks offense. Looking a little bit explosive out the backfield, a little more explosive at times. Not saying they're going to be better without Zach Charbonnet, but just a different perspective to kind of think about from this injury standpoint with the Seattle Seahawks. But before we get into all of that, right, what did the Rams do this weekend? I mean, what a game. By the way, thank you all who joined us for our live stream. One of the most fun streams we've ever done, if not the most fun stream, I should say, that we've ever done. Over 60,000 total views currently on that live stream. Total up to like 1,700 max at one point. People in the chat, definitely always appreciate everyone who joins the live streams, but everyone this past weekend especially had a really good time. That crazy ending to that game in Chicago. But the Rams, Sean McVay, he comes out and he says he's actually critical of his own quote-unquote bad coaching and playoff win over the Bears. He says, I have to be better. Also, McVay credited his players for coming through in clutch moments. And so a lot of Rams fans in the chat, in our live streams and the chat on YouTube, the comments have been saying, right, frustrations with Sean McVay, frustrations with the play calling on offense, frustrations with maybe not getting the run game involved. And those factors have obviously been a key to why the Rams offense has been a little bit not really clean and smooth the last few weeks. And so, you know, Sean McVay actually acknowledging it. And this is why I love Sean McVay. What coach is going to come out and said, we won, but I sucked? Like, what coach is going to say that, really? And Sean McVay comes out post-game. He says, I did not like the feel for the flow of the game outside of the first series, where our guys did a great job. Defensively, it kept us in it in spite of how poor of a job I did for our group. But like I said, I'm really grateful for this group being able to find a way, stick with it, and be able to overcome some bad coaching by me tonight. He actually laughed a little bit when he said that last part. And in all honesty, it's kind of interesting, right? When you think about Sean McVay, for him as any coach to come out and say, I did poorly, it's pretty rare for your coach to come out and do that. And I think some Rams fans would agree that he actually did coach pretty poorly at times throughout this football game. Just didn't, like he said, I think the best way to put it is, like he said, didn't have a feel for the game outside of that first series, which is usually kind of scripted, right? The Rams, I think McVay just didn't really know what to do. And it seemed like at times he was running some pretty questionable plays out there. That one play where, you know, Stafford, you want him to have the ball in his hands and it's third down. It's a big time play, and McVay calls a pitch to Blake Corum, and it was a little questionable, right? And there's a lot of questionable moments, I think, throughout the game from Sean McVay himself, and he's coming out and saying, hey, look, my bad, I got to figure this out. And obviously some Rams fans, I'm sure, will still say, yes, you got to figure it out. You're the head coach, you get paid millions, you should figure this out. It shouldn't take you a bad playoff performance to say that, but give him some grace, give him some slack. He's admitting that he could be better, and that's going to hopefully motivate him to be better in the next round, I think. And I'm hoping this Rams offense can come alive a little bit versus the Seattle Seahawks defense in the NFC Championship. This is their time. They've had weeks and weeks and weeks of struggles, and I'm hoping they can kind of wake up out of that and obviously break out in the NFC Championship game. Let me know how you feel about Sean McVay's comments down below in the comment section. Are you happy with him saying that? Are you just wanting him to figure it out? Are you ready to move on at head coach? And a lot of people have had that opinion. Let me know how you feel about Sean McVay saying all that in the comment section down below. Personally, I love it. I think it's a good way to hold himself accountable. And we're talking about some injuries now, actually. Speaking of continuing what Sean McVay was saying in this press conference, he also talked today and had to say a little bit of updates, some maybe unfortunate updates, but positive at the same time in terms of injuries from the Rams coming out of Chicago. Sean McVay shares injury updates on Byron Young, Emmanuel Forbes. Cameron DeSilva of the Rams Wire reported this. And obviously that sounds scary when you first hear it. Injury reports out of Chicago, cold weather game, definitely a very beat up game. Everyone's going to have bumps and bruises. And I think that's kind of the situation here for this team right now, as Rams linebacker Byron Young has some knee soreness and cornerback Emmanuel Forbes has a shoulder issue from Chicago. Sean McVay says the injuries aren't expected to sideline either guy in Seattle. The Rams came out of last night relatively healthy, and I think that is obviously massive for the Rams moving forward. They're relatively healthy. Another week of Devontae Adams and Stafford not looking like they're on the same page. But, man, if they can hit that midseason stride like they did earlier in the season, I should say, and bring that to the NFC Championship game, it's going to be fireworks, I think, for the Rams in Seattle. Hopefully that is the case. Rams looking healthy. Hopefully they can prepare going up in Seattle and have themselves a better game than they had against Chicago and against Carolina, right? The Rams have yet to have had a really good game, and yet they find themselves in the NFC Championship game. I mean, they've had, obviously, wins are good, but they haven't had a perfect kind of all-around good dominant football game or football win in the playoffs thus far, a football performance thus far. And so I think that is interesting to see. Can the Rams do that? And in the NFC Championship game, it'd be kind of perfect timing for them to make that happen. Moving on from that, as we have quite a bit to discuss here, one last little story here. Stafford, Puka, named to the 2025 Pro Football, I forget what this stands for, the Pro Football Writers of America, all NFL and all NFC teams. All NFL team was for Puka and Stafford. Byron Young makes the all NFC side of things, and so that's obviously great. Congratulations to those folks for getting this kind of award from the writers, and obviously something you want to highlight. The Rams players, hey, we got some good players on the squad, and so these guys get the awards from some of the writers. All Pro team for, again, Puka and Stafford, and then all NFC team for Byron Young. So shout out to those folks for balling out and doing their thing. And then moving on from that, last but not least, before we get into the trivia of the day, the Rams are not done yet. We still have a whole bunch to discuss coming out of that Chicago game. I know I didn't really discuss too much breakdowns of that, but we will talk about it throughout the week. But first, want to kind of look ahead and start thinking about, I mean, it's hard not to start thinking about the NFC Championship game already, right? Next Sunday, January 25th, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, the NFC Championship game. Rams will be facing off against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Definitely going to be an exciting time, and it's going to be an exciting time during our stream as well. Make sure you guys please tune in for the live stream. We have some new things for you guys as well during the NFC Championship game. Would love for you guys all to be there. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, so you can make sure you get your chance to watch us and join us during that live stream, and you don't miss it, obviously, during the NFC Championship game. Moving on from that, last but not least, my favorite part of the episode, trivia of the day. I ask a trivia question. You give your trivia guesses down below in the comment section. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we give a shout out on the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. Last episode's trivia of the day, we asked everyone this question here. We said, which running back rushed for the most yards in a single Super Bowl? That was a question we asked on the last episode. Which running back rushed for the most yards in a single Super Bowl in NFL history, of course? And the options for everyone were A, Terrell Davis, B, Emmitt Smith, C, Timmy Smith, or D, Franco Harris. A few of you guys did play along with the trivia of the day. Always appreciate when you guys do so. If I can find it, give me 1 second. A few of you guys did play along with the trivia of the day. Here were some of your trivia guesses. We had Wendell saying Terrell Davis was the man. This is Wendell from Botswana, Africa. Shout out to you, Wendell. Really appreciate you. He says, go Rams as well. Appreciate you, Wendell. Manuel says, let's go with Mr. Davis. Talking about Terrell Davis as well. Chauncey says, I think it was Timmy Smith. And then Floyd says Terrell Davis. Wow, so 3 people said Terrell Davis. 1 person said C, Timmy Smith. The correct answer for the trivia of the day of which running back had the most rushing yards in a single Super Bowl, the correct answer was C, Timmy Smith. I'll be honest with you, totally forgot to make sure I guess how or put down how many yards he had. It was something over 200 yards in that football game. So Chauncey, shout out to you, the only one who got it correct on this trivia of the day. Wendell says Terrell Davis, Manuel says Terrell Davis, and Floyd to Terrell Davis. But Chauncey, you were the one who got it correct. You said Timmy Smith. It was the correct answer. Timmy Smith had the most yards in a single Super Bowl, something over 200. I apologize for not getting the correct answer. But if you guys are curious about trivia of the day, you want to keep playing along with the trivia of the day, you're like, that was easy, I want to get a shout out just like those folks just got, well then play along with today's trivia of the day, which is this question here. I gotta find it for a second. What's the record for the most points scored by a team in a conference championship game? We're about to be in the NFC Championship next weekend. What's the highest score? Maybe the Rams break it this coming weekend versus Seattle. What's the record for the most points scored by a team in a conference championship game? Multiple choice options for you are, is it A, the 51 points? Is it B, 49 points? Is it C, 55 points? Or D, 57 points? What's the record for most points scored by a team in a conference championship game? A, 51, B, 49, C, 55, or D, 57? Give your guesses down below in the comment section. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we'll give you a shout out in the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. Other than that, that's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Again, please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Shout out to and thank you to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. That's going to do it for me. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I'm out.